Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to wherever you're logging in from the Philippines, India, Pakistan, UK, South Africa, or anywhere in the Middle East as well, whether it's UAE, Kuwait, Qatar, Saudi, anywhere. A very, very good morning or good afternoon to you. A warm welcome to you from Nexa Dose, your daily dose of wisdom. Those of you who know Nexa Dose know what we do, know the platform well, and those who know me as well very well. My name is Omar Sharif, and I am a student of life. Today, we have a very, very special guest with us who shares very similar values as mine. I have always been a person who loves to share, learn, and contribute to people's lives. I love to enrich people's lives. I actually have a passion for impacting lives. And I love to share space. I love to share my time with people who are very much like minded. And today, we have a person with us, Irfan Noorani, who is a clarity coach himself, who has always been a pioneer in terms of impacting lives. He is someone who has walked the talk as far as change is concerned, as far as transition is concerned, as far as reinventing is concerned. We'll hear about that as we move forward in the conversation. Let me go ahead and welcome Irfan officially on board. Irfan, absolute welcome to you.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to whichever part of the world you guys are listening. Thank you so much, Dr. Omar Sharif, and it's been a privilege and an honor to be on your platform today and guide, lead, and support, and give some insights and have a fantastic conversation with you. It's been a while. Thank you so much.
It sure has been, and thank you for being gracious enough to accept the invite. I'm sure there'll be a lot of value addition today from this conversation to the people in the group. This group, next at those, the Daily Days of Wisdom, was really created by three people: Conan Shahidi, Donis Arbas, and me, with the whole intention of really adding value to people's lives. And to that effect, we try to do Facebook Lives, we invite people, we do panel discussions, and we love the way people get impacted. And people respond back to us, give us feedbacks on how it has changed them for the better. And that, I think, is really what you want in life. That really gives
Uh,
you a sense of fulfillment, which really makes you happy from the inside that you've contributed to someone. And that keeps us going, frankly.
yeah, that has to be that way, Omar Sharif, because I know all three of you guys, right? And when great minds comes together and pour their wisdom out, it has to create value. There is no question about it. So well done, because I've been seeing some of your lives as well that you did previously. I saw the recordings on the page. It's some fantastic work and content that you've been putting out for a lot of people, and I'm really really thankful because obviously we sit in the same boat with the same vision of impacting lives. So that's really really an honor as well to come here and contribute.
Thank you so much. Coming from you, that means a lot. And we plan to, and we intend really to keep carrying that torch forward as much as we can. It's never easy. All of us are busy in our corporate lives as well, but we try to do whatever we can whenever we get. It's a passion, so we keep pursuing it.
Yeah,
So anyway, so
yeah,
this conversation today is also a part of that, where we want to add value to the audience as well, using your experience, your expertise. I've been following you. I've seen your miraculous, incredible work you've done with people. I've seen some of the feedbacks coming from people, some of your coaches and mentees who have thanked you for what you've done to them, the kind of clarity you provided to them. And the best part that I like about you is you have really walked the talk, right? and
thank
and
you.
and that's something which really appeals to me a lot. You're not just an armchair philosopher talking about clarity. You actually have
Yeah,
been through it. You faced the
yeah.
challenges, you faced the transitions, and you're there to talk about experience. That makes it
Yeah.
absolutely worthwhile.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Dr. Omar, let me get into a little bit of my story of where I come from, because I think it'll be important and relevant to the fact that you're talking about transition and change,
Sure.
and maybe I can throw some light from my experience and from my perspective. Again, I know. Thank you for labeling me as an expert of transition and change. But I have a philosophy that I've learned from my mentor as well. That what, actually, when you put on the ground, like the soldier, when you actually start doing things, you will learn much more than you learn in a book, right? So I totally believe that, and kind of I've been an example of that when I look back into my life, and that's why the story is very important in this context. So, Dr. Omar, I come from a space of nothing. That's what I would say, because I really want to have this put out very honestly, right? Uh, Lost my father when I was two. Absolutely no idea. Lost kid, confused kid. Okay, no role model to be guided. I lived in a joint family. I had my uncle, but not a good role model as such to follow and be led by in life, right? And my mom, she's my super coach. She's a super contributor. She's my inspiration to do this work actually. She still contributed, not only to us five kids single-handedly, right? Without, I mean, she was not even literate, right? She comes from a small village in Gujarat in India, and she hold the fort, she hold it strong, and she led us all into life and guided us well, right? But I learned a lot because of those situations. Like I'm sure you would have known this quote of Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs says that you can only connect the dots looking back, and I can see that now. When I was when I was a young kid, I had no idea what I'm going to do, how I'm going to figure out life. Uh, you know, our struggle as a family was to make sure that every single month we have our bills paid, we have food on the table, and that's what we were struggling. That's the basic vision that I had of life at an early age, right? And I used to question at times, Dr. Omar, why me? Why this has happened to me? Like, I'm sure a lot of people listening out there would relate. When we have tough situations, when we have challenges, we start questioning, what the hell is this happening to me? For some people, maybe maybe it's one thing that is bothering them too much, and for someone else who has a drastic situation and it's bothering them at a level unimaginable. But any situation, any tough situation, we go there. So one day, remember, earlier on, I realized in my teens that what my mom has been going through. I had like a light bulb moment, right? Because a young kid, ठीक है, हो रहा है, it's going on, we'll figure out the food and everything. But I had this light bulb moment saying, you know what, my mom has been struggling for so long. I need to pull my socks. I was working, there's no question about it. I was working like a dog, like 12, 14 hours a day in a small job. I've done wide variety of jobs. I've been a courier guy. I've been a BPL mobile verification guy. So many things. I've worked in a small, like a 30 square feet purse selling shop where I used to stand outside the shop and one person. Anyways, I don't want to go into too details, but I've done my part. But one day I said, you know what? How long will this go on? And I decided consciously, it's not going to be like this, and I need to change. I need to figure things out, mainly for my mom. Now, this part of the story, how it is relevant to this conversation is, there are two important aspects that happen on the day. One, the most important one is, what I realized, that people who decided, doesn't matter what is going on in their life. They have the resource, they don't have the resource. They have clarity, they don't have clarity. They have the time, they don't have the time. But the decision that day actually allowed me to go on this journey of figuring things out. So the point I'm making is, yeah, from this part of my story, I realized the importance of decision, like a very conscious effort, and saying that's how it's going to be, no matter what, no matter how long it takes, but this is what I'm working towards. And the second thing, the most important thing, the reason. I didn't do it for myself. I was lazy. Let me be honest. I know I said I was working for 12 hours, but I still feel like I used to have days like, I'm not doing much, changing jobs every now and again, because I'm doing my college as well, supporting. For someone else's standard, it may still be like very high. Oh, you're still working. But for my standard, when I look at it now, I was like still whittling away time. I mean, wandering away time. So the point I'm making is, the second was the reason. My mom, that I want to make her life better. I want to make sure that she doesn't have to work the way she's been working. She used to work, uh, the newborn babies. You have this masseur for the newborn babies. They go out and they massage the baby and they make him healthy. In India, I'm sure you are aware. So she used to do that to make ends meet, along with me working, my younger brother working as well. And at that day, I said, decided, and I embarked on a path. I said, you know what, I need to change this element. And that's the 2 point that I want to mention from this part of my story. I don't know if you have anything you want to ask or something, or.
That's so profound and impressive, Irfan. Thank you for sharing that background. That just elevates your position in my eyes much more than what it was. Thank you for sharing that. I always believe people coming from humble backgrounds are really the ones who can create a mark, because you've seen it all. You've seen how
Yeah.
people's lives can get impacted. You've seen what people don't have. And then when you start adding value to other people's lives, trying to give them what they really deserve in life, you know it from the grassroots level. So thank you for that insight, for that background. I definitely wasn't aware of that, and it takes a lot of courage to share that on screen. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Yeah. Because
Diving in
it's really important.
before I,
Yeah.
sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, no, it's okay. I'm saying it's really important, because I realize that, like they say, right? Truth sets you free. And when people know where you're coming from, they understand the reason why I'm saying what I'm saying. Like you said, I just don't want to be a philosopher, but I want to give the real truth, and so that if people understand certain elements, and maybe they also do something for their life going forward, and that will be great for them.
Absolutely. And that becomes an inspiration. When people say, when Irfan can do it, why can't I? And, that just adds to the
True,
layers of inspiration. Fantastic,
true.
great. Before I move on, can I just can I request the audience, the members who have logged in, who are watching us live, to ensure that you give access to StreamYard. StreamYard is the interface we're using right now. I can see your comments coming on the right hand side, but I see most of them are saying Facebook user. It doesn't have a name. So if you allow access to StreamYard, I'll be able to see your name and also highlight your name on the screen so that you can converse with us. Okay? Just a request to all the audience members. Irfan, coming back to you, I have been following you and I noticed that you have a commitment to transform 3 million lives by 2023. When I read that, I said, wow, that's such a big outcome. 3 million lives? How can he do that? That's really thinking big in capital letters. And then I thought to myself, it's never the goal, which is really easy or difficult. It's always the person who can really create an impact and make a difference. And then when the person who actually commits that kind of a goal is an author of a book called Dreams to Reality, then I know that this is something which can definitely be converted to a reality based on the experience you have and based on the commitment that you have in life. So would love to know more about that. What was the driving force behind the 3 million people impact that you actually came up with?
Okay. So, great question. Obviously, it's see when I started exploring. Let me pick up from where I stopped last time. So again, long story short, in between, a lot of things happened. I moved forward. I found an amazing job, which allowed me to travel the world. So I traveled the world, in hospitality and travel industry, been to 50 countries, explored a lot of human aspects and human, behavior as well, working with 45 different nationals, understood a lot about human beings. And I wanted to do that because I wanted to understand why certain things are done in a certain way by certain human beings. And I gained a lot of information, right? A lot of exposure, I would say, right, on ground, as I said. And and again, once there is a light bulb moment again in my life, which I don't want to go into detail. It's also in itself a story. And I said, I have much more that I can do with my life than just doing a job, traveling the world. Yes, I love traveling the world. I still love traveling the world, but my priorities had changed. Like I'm sure you would have realized that, a lot of people working in corporate jobs, and they want to do something different beyond the point, right? But there is a routine being set up. There has been monotony. A comfort level has set in, right? I was in the same position, right? 11 years, doing well, but there were certain things which I felt not right in my life. First thing,
Mm-hmm.
obviously, was I was constantly being away from my family. I know people go away for like 10 years, 20 years, and the entire life, they change countries, they change the culture, everything is changed, right? But I said, I want to connect more with what I am. I want to serve more my mom because she's aging right now, right? I mean, she's my superhero, right? And I can't just turn my back. This is what I felt at the moment. I said, I want to come back to India. I want to be able to serve her more, right? I want to be able to connect more with my family because now I'm married, right? I mean, I'm not that teenage guy and, doing different jobs. I've become successful to a certain degree. I'm providing well. I have the houses. I've helped extended family members and stuff, which pretty much all of us do, right? Everyone is a good human being, I believe. Now, I said, I want to do more because I think I had started feeling, I was having this feeling. I don't know if you have felt or if anyone listening out there has felt that, what, I have much more. I can, like, if I'm at a job, my manager says something, but I know, what? he's saying this, but I know I can do better. Or he's
Hmm.
doing this, but I know I can do much better. So I had started developing this feeling, and I didn't want to let this feeling go away, because I've realized that, you know what, if you feel a certain way, if you have this thought, if you have that idea, it's there for a reason. It's not just given to you. I mean, it came to you, right? So I said, I want to harness this. I want to harness this. I want to take it beyond just the feeling. I want to put it into action. What do I do? How do I do? So I had a lot of questions, and I'm kind of a thinker, right? I used to constantly think, and what can we do? What can I do? How do I do it? I mean, I've got an amazing exposure, and that's where it started. That, you know what, I need, when I go back this time in India, I used to go away for 6 months on my assignments, and this is how I work, like 2 months in India, 6 months for assignment, then come back. I was an officer sailing on cruise ships, for people, just to give context. And then I said, I really want to do this work where I can impact lives. So I said, let me start a business. But the business idea didn't work out, because I think it was, again, of a massive scale, because I like to think big things. But it didn't work out, because I didn't have the resource. I didn't knew many people. I was traveling constantly, so I didn't have good connections. So I said, what is it that I can do which will allow me not only to do one idea, maybe 10 different ideas, right? And the answer came to me. I love this quote of Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey says, "People never forget how you make them feel." And I was inspired by that, and I said, you know what? I want to be a person of value, where every interaction that I do, every conversation, I mean, every, right, from that uh, thought, I want to impact, I want to make them feel a certain way, right? Meaning, I want to make them either inspired, either whatever it is, whatever it takes for them to take action. I want to leave them with that, with every conversation. And I started focusing on that. I made a conscious decision again. And I said, this is how I'm going to be, so that I became the flame and not the moth, if you know what I mean.
Nice.
You
Yeah.
understand?
Yeah.
So people can come to me rather than me going behind people. And for that to happen, I had to find an environment, I had to find workspace, or I have to find an idea where people realize that I'm a person of value. And what best can it be than being a speaker on the stage? So and again, rest is history, because one day I ended up in my mentor's event, and I said, you know what, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life, no matter what, because this will sink in with my identity that I'm trying to create. And that's where my journey began, of being the clarity guy, or the clarity man. Again, the clarity man also didn't came overnight. I used to impact lives. I used to have conversation. I used to guide them, and every single time, like I said, Steve Jobs connecting the dot backwards, and I started thinking about what has happened with all these people and what are they saying about me, and that's how Clarity Man evolved. So I don't know. I gave you a lot, but I missed the question. Did I answer your question, or can you repeat the question, please?
No, I think you did answer the question in various ways. And so the driving force behind it all was essentially your inspirational drive to really help people. And that's how you came up with, this idea of really assisting people. So thank you. That's great. The follow-up question really becomes, based on what you just said, you changed, right? You transitioned from where you were to where you are today. And that's never easy for a lot of people, and it's always difficult. I personally have felt people find change to be very difficult in life, and especially when it's shifting gears on your careers, shifting gears on your jobs, and in your case, moving from being a sailor man or being a high paying job, or having high paying job, to jump head on into your passion, which was training and coaching and speaking. And you did that. You took that jump, which many people are afraid to do. And that's what I really call reinventing yourself. And that's what really
True.
called walking the talk, because you did not say this can be done or you can do this. You actually did it. And you said, that's how it's done, leading from the front. And I want to ask you more about that. So when you did that transition, when you really moved away from that point to the point where you are today, how did you really, what were the obstacles you faced? Did people call you crazy? What really happened? We would love to hear more on that.
Yeah. So I think it's a fantastic question, and it's going to give a lot of people some great insights from my experience, of course. Uh, yes, people did call me crazy initially. Okay. They said, you have such a fantastic career. And I was growing. Dr. Omar, I was really growing well because I captured and I'd understood a lot of things about the cruising industry. In fact, something was online that I came to know came to know later that they would have called me to be a corporate employee in Santa Clarita in US, which was like a next jump for me, right? But again, I didn't. For me, I didn't wanted to have this feeling of what I can do much more. I can do a lot in life. And again, I realized, like I was already 36, right? And I realized that obviously you live once. This is my philosophy, and you need to have you need to leave something behind. You need to have that legacy. You need to do much more. I didn't want it to be in the realm of a job only. Now, when I started, yes, it wasn't easy. It was not easy because again, you're leaving a high paying job. You have a family. Okay. Okay. And I don't advise this to everyone as well, because it could be really hard. I don't want people to just jump in. There has to be some degree of planning. I dived in head first, basically, and I got a little hurt as well. That's fine. I'm okay with that because again, I had good references in the past. It's what is the worst case scenario? I'll have food on the table. I'll have roof over my head, and I'm okay with that to move forward, right? But some people may not like the idea. This is my idea, right? So you need to have a little bit of planning. Okay, what are you doing? But I also want to warn people because sometimes people get stuck in this crazy eight of planning. It's like a vicious crazy eight, right? You keep going planning, 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 no execution. Don't do that. Execute, maybe at a smaller scale, right? So I went through challenges like what obviously my revenue took a dip. What was coming in initially because obviously I need to train myself. I'm learning a new skill. I'm learning something new that I had never done before, right? It wasn't even that what I'm branching out to something like I'm starting my own travel agency or like a mini hotel which connects with me in the same industry. Then still it's the same ground. It was completely new. So whatever it is, the point I'm making is, without going too much into my detail, whatever it is a person wants to do, first, I think it's a very important is a decision. You have to make a decision because that decision will help you to clear out everything else. Like, clear out all the clutter and what direction you are heading. That's one. Second, having a powerful reason. My driving force has always been my family. I love my
Mhm.
family.
Mhm.
And the contribution. The two aspects that I love about, and I'm a little obsessed about these two things, right? My family and the work that I do. So I said, this is what I want to do. And the second part is important is you have to be intentional. Like now let me tell you something about what I'm trying to tell you here, right? Now, every one of us, no matter where you are, right? You have, I think most of us, it's life, right? It's up and down always. It's not a straight line, right? You go through challenges, you go through issues, and you come out with it. So every one of us has some mechanism or some idea that something worked in that point in time, right? So you need to use the same mechanism. This is exactly what I did. So for example, as I said in the past, we didn't had much, and I had to come out of those situations by because life had cornered me, and I had to push back. I had no other choice.
Mhm.
Now I used the same mechanism for myself this time intentionally. I created that environment, meaning I said I'm not as I said, I'm not advocating this to all of you guys, but this is what I did. Okay. I said, I'm not going to rely on the revenue that is coming in from a job. I'm going to come out of it. That will put me back in the same spot like I was, that life has cornered me. And I need to generate revenue no matter what. If I have to work for 12 hours, 14 hours, I have no problem. I've done it in the past. I will go back in the same mode and I'll do it. Right. So I was intentional about these factors that had worked for me in the past by default. Did it intentionally this time, saying I'm going to create an environment. I'm going to rely on this work itself, and I'm going to figure out. I'm going to do it. May take time, and like any business, anything that you start, it may take time. Now, for people out there, if you really want to build something and you are transitioning from your job to a business, you have to keep doing something every single day to build that dream with a decision that I'm going to do it. You don't have to leave it like I did, right? So this is my take on this.
Um, Having said that, Every time you do that, you're right about these kind of jumps not being easy for many. You took it and you really plunged head on, and you learned a lot through that. Do you actually think that changes like these, or really reinventing yourself, or transitions like these, become a point of a complete transformation for a person, where, like you said, when you started the talk, you said when you look back and look at how the dots got joined, it's a different picture altogether. And so when the person actually comes out of the transition and moves to the other side, when he actually starts looking back at the dots which have got joined, that's when the real fulfillment happens. And now, based on what he can actually achieve in the future as an outcome, in spite of what you just said, that you won't recommend this for everybody, would you say that every person should really look for that kind of a change and not really get comfortable in where they are, because comfort zone really doesn't really allow you to do anything more worth striving for?
See, look, if it's my way, I would say every one of us needs to live beyond I mean, not in their comfort zone, because when you start getting comfortable, stagnancy, routine comes in, and then it slows down. I'm not that guy. I really like momentum. I really like doing things. I keep doing things and inspiring or growing, whatever it is. Now, the reason why I say that I don't recommend this, because people may not like the idea. Some people may like the idea. You adopt whatever you want, but I'm
Hmm.
not saying that I'm advising or advocating that leave your job, leave everything, and then go for your dream or go for your passion. I'm not saying that. As I said, if you have a very powerful reason, and if you maybe find a coach who can help you align these things, because it's
Right.
very important to understand. There's a great mechanism at play. Think about you when you said people come from a certain background, they like humble background, if they've done well. Why is that? Because life has cornered them. There is no other way to push back. That's why
True.
they have done it, right? So this is one of the common theme that I found in successful people as well. They said, what, it's not going to be like this. So you have to intentionally incorporate these things. You know, by the grace of God, all of the people listening out there, maybe they're doing well, right? I mean, if you're doing well, what is the driving force? What is that? Maybe not the money, maybe something else. Maybe your mom, or maybe you want to make life better for yourself, for your friend, for your family, or like one of my colleague, she had lost her son, right? And because she lost her son, she completely changed her approach of life, saying, what? Because of my son, because my son would have wanted this for me, I'm going to be a superstar. I'm going to be a hero. I'm going to
Mhm.
go out and impact lives. She didn't sit there and say, oh, you know what? So the point I'm making is, find a mechanism that works for you. Find a coach. Get someone who has done it, or get talk to someone who you really trust and have rapport with, and find those things, because I truly believe from the bottom of my heart, and not just again the bookish or philosophical thing, that everyone has so much more they can create for their life. There's so
Absolutely.
much more that can be done, right? And it doesn't have to happen overnight as well. It doesn't have to be by a great challenge or something like that. You can be intentional, and you can be doing it systematically, incrementally, every single day, with the intent, with the clarity that what, this is what I did today, and this is the result that it produced, and it's a success for me. Register that, and then you'll realize that what, within 10 days, within 15 days, you will start seeing changes. You'll start noticing elements, right? And yeah, and one of the other aspects that really 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 impacted my life is the environment. I am the
Hmm.
biggest advocate of the environment, and I would do anything to find and create the right environment. Let me
Very
give you
true.
an example of what I'm trying to say here. First of all, obviously, if I want to be the highest paid comedian, I will find the highest paid comedian and the best of the best, and I'm gonna be there in that environment. I'm gonna be completely consumed or absorbed in that environment. That's how I learn, and that's how I think most of the human beings learn. There's something called, I don't know if you I think you should Google this word. It's called something called unconscious assimilation.
Hmm.
The word is unconscious assimilation, which means when you are in an environment, knowingly or unknowingly, you will absorb things from the environment, from the
True.
people, from the language, from the mindset, right? And you'll start getting better at those things. which is the beauty of it, right? So like when I am pursuing something, I become obsessed about those things, meaning I just go after it, right? The environment. Okay, let me tell you something which I've never shared before. There have been studies that I've heard that even while you're sleeping, okay, your
Mm-hmm.
brain is very active, very potent,
True.
okay, and there are a lot of people who utilize this mechanism of feeding your mind even while you're sleeping,
Mm.
meaning I've known people who would like put something on, like say for example you want to study. I don't know how much it has worked for them or how much it will work, but I also started doing this, and I think it had an impact. uh, you switch on the audio or the book or the device, whatever information you wanna learn or imbibe, or you wanna listen. You just put it on a lower tone, okay, and put it beside your bed. Let it run while you're sleeping. So I used to do that as well.
Interesting.
That's how I used to consume. Yeah.
Interesting.
So I'm
Great.
saying that that within this 12, 14, 16 hours, whatever your waking time, if you want the change to happen, you have to be intentional. You have to make a decision. You have to go after it. You have to start doing it step by step. Build an environment, create an environment, uh, and go for it.
Fantastic. We have people who are enjoying your responses. I don't see the name.
Yeah,
It comes as a Facebook user who says,
yeah,
if your intention is noble and you use your talent accordingly, the world will make room for you. Very true. Very true.
absolutely, absolutely.
There's also a question from the same user or a different one, I guess, who says, aside from your desire to impact people, what was your North Star for you to identify the path you're walking now is for you?
Okay, that's a fantastic question. And by the way, I've seen the Northern Lights as well. That reminded the North Star quote reminded me of the Northern Lights when I was in Alaska. So
You
that's a
have.
that's a
I,
great
I
question.
I still want to see it. I've not been able to see it so far. Someday.
I have been one of the privileged ones, so thank God for that. And
Fantastic.
yes, I love traveling as well. So, anyways, so the question is, what was my North Star for me to identify this path? Now, you see, I think the decision that I made that day, that I want to become a person of value, and from that point onwards, I started looking for opportunities, possibilities that will lead me there, and that
Mm-hmm.
kind of became my path, right? And I found the North Star in terms of a person who can help me do that is one of my mentor as well, Mr. Arfin Khan. A lot of people know him, and I'm sure you are aware of him as
Sure.
well. So
Absolutely.
that possibility happened, that what I was looking for, because I see, I really believe when you have decided and you're looking for things, things will appear to you. They'll stand out to
Correct.
you, and that's what
Mm-hmm.
stood out to me. And going and connecting with him, I didn't knew that I would be doing this work, but when I saw him, I said, you know what, this is a great role model for me, for where I'm heading, and I want to learn from this man. And that kind of became a combination of me deciding and looking for opportunities, and finding that gentleman to come in my life, and taking it from that point onwards really helped me to figure out this path. And again, what I've also realized, initially I was also initially in this industry lost. Oh, who will know me? How will this work? What if this? What if that? Like any change or anything that you start, I call it like a form of resistance. When you start something initially, you will find resistance, right?
Always.
Because say for example you are, metaphorically, I will just want to give you something visual. Say for example you are this, like an electrical appliance, and you have a lot of wires, like plugged in different sockets that are fueling you right now, meaning your
Mm-hmm.
environment, your job, your possibility, right? uh, but again, what you're doing is you're removing some plugs, and you're removing some plug, your energy is going low at times, because you finding new sockets, you're finding new power points to empower you, to guide you. I hope this is making sense. I mean, I just made it up in my
It
mind right
absolutely.
now.
I'm actually imagining it. I have the picture in
Yeah,
my mind.
exactly. So you have to be aware of these things, because you're unplugging those things, so you will go up and down, you'll go low in energy, you say, oh, it's not working, will it work, how will it work? but you'll have to start plugging in those things back again, and recharge yourself, saying, you know what, okay, if it's not working, maybe I can talk to this guy, maybe I can talk to Dr. Umar, because he's doing this or he's doing that, or maybe I can talk to Irfan, or maybe I can talk to a coach, or maybe I can talk to a friend, maybe I can talk to a relative who has done it, who has traveled the world, who has been in this country, I'm going to this country. So whatever it is, you have to find those plugs and start replugging back in the new for the new journey, for the new environment, right? And
Right.
that's how you start, building up your energy, building up your identity, because I think it's very important to keep the identity in mind of what you are building. Because
Sure.
this is also one of the other things that I did, Dr. Omar, is I said, here I am. I am an ex sailor. Okay, I need to disconnect from that identity, and I'm connected to a new version of myself, and I'm creating a new identity. But I can't simply think from the space where I am. I have to think
Right.
from the space of the identity that I'm creating, as if I've already created that, right? And that's what actually pulled me towards the work and the identity that I've created in this time.
Impressive, very very impressive. I like the fact. I like the way you connected with. You actually created the image in my mind. It'll stick with me now about the plugs in coming into the body and charging you and filling you up. I think that makes so much of sense. Absolute sense. We have a comment here from Conan who says, very profound takeaway from me. Never regret yesterday. Life is in you today. Execute and you make it tomorrow. Thanks, Coach Irfan. There we go.
Thank you so much,
Uh,
Conan. Thank you, brother.
Conan also has a question. He says, what do you suggest to not get intimidated by fears? And I'm assuming he's referring to fears of change and fears of
Right,
reinvention. And what do you suggest to
right,
take fears head on?
right. So let me give you a quick analogy, right? Fear, obviously, we all know it. I'm sure we all of us studied it. It's always been part of our life. It always will be part of our life. So one of the things that, again, I'm a huge advocate of reason, right? Because it has really profoundly changed my life. Having that
True.
vision of my mom having a better life, and that has driven me, and I will go through the wall for that. Like, fear will disappear. So that is one thing that you can do. As I said, having a powerful reason. But again, easier said than done. I know every single day, we have this thought, what if this, what if that? You have to find a way to tone down those voices in your head, which are
Yeah.
fear based, which are doubt based, which are uncertainty based, right? And you can do that, first of all, to having a profound language in your mind, that, what, maybe, like one of my mentors code, and one of my code is like, my vision is bigger than the moment. Meaning,
Hmm.
whatever I'm doing now, it may be tough, it may be difficult, and it means it's putting me on the spot. If people are watching me, what if this, what if that, what if they judge? But when I think of that language in my mind, that my vision is bigger than the moment, that reminds me that, what the hell, Irfan, what are you doing? You have to impact 3 million lives by 20th April 2023. When are you going to go online? How are you going to do it? So that sets the tone, right? Right.
Agree.
I am still not I don't consider myself as a high expert, right? I consider it as a human being on a mission, wanting to help, wanting to guide, make life better, including my family, my mom, my kids, and life of others. That's all I know. For that to happen, I need to be seen. So I hope I answered Conan's question. So you have to have a language that allows you to progress beyond those fears in your mind, and you need to implant that consciously, intentionally. You have to be intentional about it.
Absolutely true. And apparently, it's not just me who liked your socket analogy. Fazila is from South Africa and she is listening
Hi,
to you.
Fazila.
She is a very active person on Exeros as well. She says, I like your wiring and socket analogy. I love that
Yeah.
too.
Let me elaborate a little bit as well over here with the socket analogy, because I think people liked it. Also, remember, while I was doing the transition as well, you may find some sockets that may suck energy out of you as well,
Hmm.
not just give you energy,
Right.
right? Because you need to be watchful of those sockets as well. You can't plug into those sockets, because if you plug into those sockets, maybe a friend, maybe a family, maybe a relative, they'll say, you know what the hell are you doing? I unplugged from those sockets when I was doing the transition, because I was earning in lakhs, in Indian rupees, right? If you know shipping industry,
Yeah.
and they said, "What the hell? You are like giving away this job, and you're not doing it. You've never done it. You will not be able to do it. You're just a graduate. You are just this. You are just that. And I said, I'm not plugging my socket with you in your this thing, right? So you need to remember that it's like the energy will come to you. Energy can go away from you as well. So you have to avoid those sockets as well.
Absolutely, very well said. Shifting gears, Irfan, one of your books, and I've not read it, I confess, but I've heard
Yeah,
about it a lot. And one of your books has this chapter in it called "Get Back on Your Horse."
yeah,
Right. And when
yeah.
I heard about that chapter, when I heard about the topic of that chapter, it was very intriguing for me. I was like, this is interesting, right? What is Irfan really saying about it? And I wish one day I'll get my hands on that book, I'll read it. But I said, I'm going to talk to Irfan anyways, right, today. So let me talk to him. Let me hear it from the horse's mouth itself. No pun intended there.
Sure, sure,
But
sure, sure, sure.
what goes behind the topic of the chapter, Get Back on Your Horse?
Yeah. So I'll tell you what it is. It's a great analogy, and it comes from a story that I experienced and witnessed while I was traveling, as I mentioned. And by the way, I'll give you my book as a gift. I'm going to send it to you. I'm going to send you the link so you can have it as well. So in that while I was traveling, I remember it was, I think it was in Mexico, the
Hmm.
Mayan ruins. In
Hmm.
Mexico, there is the Mayan culture is a very traditional culture, and I was on a tour on that Mayan ruins cultural tour, right? So I was with some passengers of the ship, and I was there as well along with them. And it was a horseback riding tour, right? So you're going there, and just the tour guide was explaining everything, and usually we used to have like uh, cruise ship passengers anywhere in the age of 50 to 70, right? So this, I think, 60 50 60 year old lady, I've mentioned the age in the book, but anyways, don't not go into the details. She was on the horseback and she fell down, right? And everyone was worried. We all came out of their horses, and the tour guide was attending her and said, okay, so I think you should not take this tour because I don't think you should. I mean, you may be hurt or whatever. And her husband as well is insisting, like, no, 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 don't get back on the horse, and we are not doing this tour. And this lady, obviously with her age, she said, time has gone by. I'm 60, 65. I may never be able to come back again here. It's time now. I want to get back on the horse, and I want to do this. And that's the metaphor that I use in my book, saying, you know what, time keeps going by, right? I mean, you're not never going to be in control of time. You have to get back on the horse and do what you must for your future, for your growth. And that's where the story comes in, the get back on the horse.
Fantastic. I love it. And I think it also brings out a very good point, which you mentioned earlier as well, about taking action now, being in the moment,
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Obstacles will always come to you. Challenges will always be there. Life is full of ups and downs. Otherwise, if life had to be a straight line, there would be no fun at all in it, right? And so every single day, every single moment, every single situation, you'd always have challenges and obstacles. And I think the message from that chapter, at least from the chapter, from the book, if not from the book, is to ensure that you live the moment, get back on the horse, and ensure you take action. So that's profound. Thank you once again.
Most welcome. Most welcome.
Fantastic. I've also heard you in the past where you talked about, I think it was one of your videos. I have heard you talk about improving a social currency, right? And you mentioned something about gauging yourself or rating yourself and talk to people and understand what a social currency is. I wanted to dive a little deeper into that and talk to you on that. What exactly you meant by that, and how do you really gauge your social currency and why?
So you see, again, it's this idea. It's a great question, and a great research. It's been a while that I put that video out. You see, the social currency part also connects with the decision that I'd made about my identity, right?
Hmm.
Social currency meaning how valuable I am to the people that I connect.
Right.
And that's what I meant in short, to have your social currency checked, meaning how valuable I am. What do you think I add to your life? How do you think I add to your life? If you have to rate me on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you rate me? Just to get a perspective about, with the people that I know, the surrounding that I have, the people that I have in my life, how do they look at me? How much do they value me? Just to get an understanding and introspection about my own self, and what can I do more? Because you see, one of my core values is giving. And that's where this thought was inspired as well, that I need to know, am I doing enough for the people that I already know, or I'm just saying, I want to impact the world, but I'm not doing enough for the people around me, or just to get a perspective about it. So that's where the idea came in. And it can really impact, because I really believe in this. So it can really impact on your corporate connections, your people that you're working with, the people that you daily connect with, your business partners, your customers, if you talk about customer relation, if you're heading a business, and it can really really impact and give you some direction about what needs to improve for you to be have a better social currency value.
Very interesting. I like the concept. I had never heard of social currency before I actually heard it from you, and I think it's a very valuable tool, not just for measuring your worth, but also for understanding how much are you really contributing. Like you said, giving becomes the number one core factor, which really decides how much is a life worth living. What is the
Yeah.
fulfillment level you're actually getting? And I think one of the best ways to really feel fulfilled is to ensure you keep giving of whatever resources you have. Could be your time, could be your money, could be your abilities, could be whatever you have in terms of helping people and assisting people. And happy to hear that once again from you in detail. Great. Irfan, in the past, and I have given a few talks on this, but I wanted to hear your perspective also. 2020 has been a year of disruption, has been a year of change, has been a year of people trying to acclimatize themselves to the new way of working, new technology, and being a little unsocial, social distancing, and what have you today. Keeping that in mind, a lot of people have suffered, of course. Livelihoods have been lost, lives have been lost, near and dear ones have been lost. At the same time, when you look at the brighter side of it, there have been people who have made a lot of money. There have been people who have moved up the ladder in terms of learning new stuff, right? In developing new habits, in trying to, in spending more time with the family. I can vouch for it. I'm a person just like you who travels a lot. I've traveled to more than 30 countries myself, but for the past
Wow.
one whole year, I have been grounded, and happily so. since March since March 2020 to March 2021, until now, I've not set my foot on a plane. People used to joke about me. They used to say, "I actually spend more time on an aeroplane than in my car," which was true, frankly.
Okay, got it,
And
got it,
so
got it, got it.
2020 changed that. I got to spend more time with the family. My three kids got more time of me. I was doing their homework, doing the online schooling with them, and I
Awesome.
loved every bit of it. Obviously, not everybody was in the same boat, right?
Hmm.
People faced challenges. People had trouble getting over 2020. What would your advice be, or what would your suggestion be, rather, to people who have faced that challenge? They're still reeling under the fact that 2020 was a horrible black spot in their lives, and how do I really come out of it? So, what would you suggest? Being a clarity coach, being a person of change, how would you suggest people come out of that period of doom and gloom?
Okay, so the great question. Again, I'm no expert. Disclaimer, but I've gone through my own journey, so I'm gonna tell you what I feel right now is going on, and how a person should focus on their future in a way that they can create they can create possibilities for themselves. That's one of the aspects. Now, the current challenge, again, it can be different things, right? It could be money, it could be loss of job, it could be so many different things. So obviously that has to be figured out with the best possible case, for them going forward. Meaning, having see, I truly believe everything comes from a certain mindset.
Right.
People having a lot of money, losing a couple of 100,000 can be a big thing for them because of the mindset. Or people not having anything and losing like maybe house, or going through extreme, but still figuring out things. So it's all about the mindset. So the first and foremost thing that has to be done for every human being on planet earth is to get their mindset aligned, and
Hmm.
know that there is so much more possible than what they are currently into it. If they just if we just think from that perspective, I know it is hard, easier said me saying than done, and I totally respect that. But it is important to have a vision focused mindset, right?
True.
Not a goal focused mindset. And that, I think there is a video on my YouTube channel on that as well. If I don't know if I've put it in, but I've created one. vision focused or a goal focused mindset. Goal focused is like, the current thing that is going on, which is like a smaller version of the vision. But if you are vision focused, you will deal with the challenges with a different attitude, right? So you need to have that check that, am I focused on just because of the challenge, I'm just scrambling around and running around and figuring out things, or I'm focused on a greater vision. Now, having said that, let me give you another aspects of how to start implementing a vision focused mindset. Meaning, uh, more than ever before in today's scenario, I feel individually all human beings have to start figuring out, how can I stand out? How can I be a linchpin, if you know what I
Hmm.
mean? How can I be a person of value? Like I evolved my identity as a person of value. Now opportunities come to me, people come to me, and say, hey, listen, can you do this for me? Can you be part like a sleeping partner in my company as a consultant, which I've got the opportunity. So all these things will start happening because you see, you have to. Every one of us has something or the other which is really good for the world, or is an important aspect that you can give out to the world. Now,
True.
how can you do that? You can do that by putting value in a very easiest form, right?
Hmm.
If you are literate, if you can write a book, write a book about something that is unique from your perspective, and from your, maybe your experience. Some of you have really unique experience, and that could be valuable to the world. So start building that identity, or start building that future vision, that, what, I could branch out into this, or I could, like the transition part that we are discussing, right? So start creating something which is unique to you, right? And it can't be disconnected from you, and people would pay you for in the long term, or people would say, what, okay, that guy, like, clarity coach, or a coach, or whatever it is, right? So it's very important to have the future vision in mind, no matter what difficulty is going on, and figure out how can you have the right attitude and mindset, even in a tough situation. Seek help. I mean, when I'm in the well, I may not see beyond the well, right? So I need to find out someone who's standing on top, and say, hey, listen, what do you see? What do you see? Better things? Can you guide me, or something like that? And reach out. That's the best thing. And people like you and me, and many more coaches and speakers, and guides and people, and much more beyond speaking and coaching. There are a lot of people who are standing up to help and support as well, right? It's a
Absolutely.
matter of the direction, and it's a matter of guidance.
Very well said. And I think that was the driving factor for us as well to really go ahead and form Nexados in the fag end of last year, and which really has, to your point, to prove your point, that has really allowed us, and that allowed others really to come out of the darkness they were experiencing. So absolutely great points there. We have a comment who says, an audience member, I don't have the name, who says, you really make sense to me, Irfan. Seems like you are putting into words my own journey. Wow, that's beautiful.
Wow, that's awesome. Thank you so much. I'm glad it helped.
And then you have Fazila again, who says, motivation is like a bus. You need it every day. Keep the momentum.
Right.
And we have Conan, who says, when you live your life in alignment with a purpose that is cantered or centered on selflessly adding value for others, opportunities become abundant and your life becomes fulfilled. Great discussion. Absolutely, Conan.
Thank
Absolutely.
you so much.
Absolutely. The comments keep flowing in. I'm not able to highlight all of them, but I was able to
Sure.
see whatever I could, and I've done that. Understanding that we're closing in on our 60 minutes of time we had. The one last question I have for you, Irfan, is you also a clarity coach, and you provide clarity. I've seen some feedbacks of your mentees and coaches come back and say, I really got a lot of clarity when I spoke to Irfan, and I that's so nice. Such lovely messages to have, really. Now, a lot of people around me I see, whether it is relationship, whether it is career, whether it is their personal lives, people generally lack clarity, right? They're confused what step to take, which direction to go in. And because of that confusion, they actually are not able to take any action in either direction. So the confusion leads to inaction. Inaction leads to frustration, and then you come back to square
Same
one.
cycle.
You really don't move an inch at all.
Yeah.
If there was, and in your opinion, based on expertise, if there was a one size fits all solution for career, relationships, profession, and personal life, and what have you, what would that be, or what would the framework look like if anybody wanted to achieve clarity in their lives?
Right. So you see, first of all, what do you want? That's a very basic and a very powerful question. What do I want? Right. And if you are able to define that, what do I want? What my future looks like? You know, maybe do some writing activity, like just pour your heart out. Whatever it is that you want, like what you want your life to look like in the area of relation, in the area of health, or whatever you're focusing on. Just pour your heart out. That will give you enough for you to know what is the direction that you can take. Right? It may not give you a specific exact dot to the cent clarity, but it will give you enough for you to know where you are heading. Right? That's one. Now, second thing, I want to emphasize the meaning of clarity the way I look at it. The meaning of clarity is not about me knowing everything about my journey in like step by step and in detail. The meaning of clarity also means, right? Having a vision is brilliant. You should have something working towards something that should be there, I think. But say, for example, I don't know what I'm going to do today, from today to the next 1 week, because I don't clearly know where I'm heading. I know this is what I want to achieve, or this is the picture that I'm trying to create. So say, for example, let me give you an analogy here again, Dr. Omar. So say, for example, you're driving in the middle of the night, okay,
Mm-hmm.
and you are driving somewhere in India, like maybe a small village. They don't have lamppost, the light on the road, right? They don't have it, and you have your headlights of your car, which goes to a certain number of meters, and you see that until that point, and beyond that is darkness. You can still drive forward, right?
Yeah.
That's the point. People get stuck saying, "Oh, I don't know where I'm going, and I don't know what I'm after." But you still know from today to next 5 days. What can you do? You do those
Right.
things, and then at that point, you will have enough again for the next 5 days. You'll have enough again for the next 5 days, right? So there is no reason why we should get stuck, right? It's just our own mechanism, or the way we are looking at, like, again, a lot of people are different, right? We all have different, like, the traditional personality types, and the way we look at the world, the way we relate. And again, having a coach or a guide really helps, because those coaches, like, you and me, we can understand a lot of these things because we have studied these things, so we can guide. So clarity may not come overnight as well. Clarity also may come walking those 5 meters, or walking those five steps, or 5 days, and it'll let's allow that to happen as well. Don't resist, because again, I believe, this is my view of reading and understanding the human beings and life, and how we evolve human beings over a period of time. We are a collection of ideas, right? We have our own idea. We have ideas. We have stories. We live in past with the stories. We go with ideas that we know of, or we have conditioned ourselves, or we have gathered. Like, say, for example, when we were living in way back, when we were living in jungle, right? No one told us that you're supposed to eat 4 times a day or 3 times a day, right? Someone decided one day, oh, you know what? We have now started growing fruits. We have now started growing all these food grains, and we have enough to eat for 3 days. So for 3 times a day, and we started having 3 meals a day, right? So don't get stuck with what you know, right? Find out what you don't know as well, and introspect a little bit what can be, and find
Mm-hmm.
someone to have like a resonating board. It's very important, right? Because this has really impacted me, having a mentor, me having a group of buddy of coaches who I can bounce back ideas, like a mastermind. I said, hey Umar, you know what, how can we do this? Like, you're picking my brain, I could pick your brain, I could pick Conan's brain, and so many more, right? So that also helps. So you're not alone. Don't get have this feeling. Talk to someone who you can rely on.
Very true, very true. I can totally relate with that. Having a sounding board, having people whom we can bounce off ideas on, people who are like-minded, of course. The last thing you want to do is go to people who are going to suck away your energy, right? You want to
Bravo,
have
I was about
like-minded
to
people.
mention that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you made a very good point about having the right company. You mentioned mastermind as well, and that I think makes a big difference in everything you want to do, because
Yeah.
eventually in school we used to hear this saying, a man is known by the company he keeps. And now you realize the importance of that today in various
Yes.
forms, you know?
Yes. True. 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 True.
So fantastic share, fantastic. I know I had said that that would be my last question, but I was wrong. I have one more with me. And it's more
Okay.
of it's more of based on what you had said in the past, and it also kind of stuck with me. I have been to Israel as well, like you have been Jordan and Israel, and I have been to some
Yes.
really, really those places, Jordan, Israel, Lebanon, are so historic. Egypt, including, are so historic, and you really look at the pyramids, you look at the Dead Sea, you look at all the
The city
historic
of
places
Petra.
in Jerusalem, for example, and you wonder 5,000 years ago, someone
Yeah.
had made those pyramids, and today they
Yeah.
still stand as a leave behind of whoever made it, right? Without going into controversies or whether you're for it or against it, I think that's a great way of really asking yourself, what are you leaving behind, right? What's your
Yeah.
legacy, and what have you done for the world as such? Based
Right.
on that, as that as a foundation, I remember you mentioning once that you had been to the Dead Sea as well, and you said good friends are like the Dead Sea, right?
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
went on to explain the analogy how exactly that is, and if you could just share that
Yeah.
with the viewers, that would be great. I
Yeah.
love the analogy, by the way.
Yeah, yeah. So let me give context to people who don't know the properties of the Dead Sea. Like I think the magnesium content is so high that you will not sink into it. Like I know we used to have tours on ships. People used to go and experience this Dead Sea mud, and because it's very good for your skin and everything. So people used to go there and on the beach side, and they used to go a little bit inwards as well. But it has like a buoyancy. Like it'll
Hmm.
throw you back. It will not let you sink in. So that's what I used as an analogy of great friends, because they'll not let you they'll not let you go down. They'll bounce you back up. They'll throw you back out, right? And that's what the analogy was. You have done some good research, man. I like it.
I told you I follow you,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I think you made some really really good points in all those videos. Great catching up with you, Irfan. Fazila is also very thankful, and she thanks you
thank
for
you,
the great
Fazila.
insights shared. And everybody totally enjoyed the session. Thank you very much, Irfan. I enjoyed this a lot. I learned a lot as well.
Me
You are
too,
very,
me
very
too.
insightful. I think all the experience you've accumulated traveling over these years and meeting different people and cultures, I think all that has a lot to say. And I am not so sure 1 hour with you is enough. I think it has to be at least 3 or 4 hour session, maybe in the future. And
Great.
we would love to have you back again on next
Inshallah.
of those, either on a panel discussion or a interview session like this or a live session, whatever suits you. But we definitely want to have you back.
Thank you so much for your kind and great words, and thanks for the honor. And thank you so much, everyone who is listening out there, for being patient and sticking with us for so long. And I love my work. Anything, obviously, I don't know if you want to give a link or something. Anyways, I'm here to help, basically. So
Thank you very much.
thank
And
you.
the next time, if you do happen to visit Dubai, do let us know. Give us a buzz. We would love to interact with you. We would
For
love to
sure.
meet
For
you
sure.
and talk to
For
you as
sure.
well.
For sure, brother. Inshallah. You take
Okay,
care.
great. Thank you very much.
Thank
To
you
the
so much.
audience, this live will now get ended. This is available on Facebook page and the group as well for anyone to watch the replay. And you're willing to ask questions and comments, and if Irfan can, he might respond back to you. Anyways, I'll be leaving Irfan's contacts on the comment section. If anyone wants to get in touch with Irfan, he's a clarity man, and that's how he's known as. He's known for the clarity he gives you. And so if anyone wants to get in touch with him, please do so. He's the author of 5 books, coming up with the sixth one. And anyone who wants to get hands on his books, please again to reach out to him. I'm sure every single one of them is worth reading. Thank you, everybody. Fantastic session, good participation. Keep well. Have a great day.
Thank you, guys. Bye bye. Thank you.